We all know that Singapore is expensive, and I'm not even talking about big ticket items like owning a home, a car, or healthcare. But I am noticing that small little things like a kaya toast or Grab rides are getting so expensive that I have stopped using them. So today, I'm breaking down the 10 things that I've stopped paying for in Singapore. Things like food delivery, bubble tea, and the extremely overpriced mooncakes. I will also share with you the alternatives that I've switched to get more value for my money. So if you want to find out what is no longer worth it in Singapore and what other cheaper options you have, this video is for you. So let's dive in. Number 1, traditional kaya toast. Okay, let's start with everyone's favorite breakfast in Singapore, the kaya toast set A. I love my kaya toast. But when places like Ya Kun and Toastbox are charging $7 just for 2 eggs, some bread, and a coffee, I think things are breaking here. And I'm not the only one feeling like this. If you go online, you see a lot of people expressing their surprise or even outrage with this price point right now. The funny thing is that no matter how much we complain about how expensive kaya toasts have become, every time I come back to Singapore and I walk past a Ya Kun or Toastbox, it is always crowded and it's impossible for me to find a seat. My alternative, for between $5 to $6, I can actually get a full breakfast meal at McDonald's with a burger, a side, and even a drink. And I would argue that some McDonald's options are actually more healthy than your kaya toast, or at least more filling to the stomach. So it's kind of embarrassing that our national heritage breakfast set has become more expensive than a global fast food chain like McDonald's. Number 2, food delivery and Grab rides. Okay, I understand that over the years, eating out as a whole has become more expensive and therefore food delivery naturally has to increase their price. But I don't know if you noticed, ever since after COVID, there have been so many new fees that are being introduced. It used to be just one flat delivery fee, but now there is a small order fee, a platform fee, and even a surge pricing fee when it rains or it's peak hours. So I end up paying $20 for $8 nasi lemak or chicken rice. And things don't look like they're improving soon because Deliveroo just announced that they are leaving Singapore. And every time one app closes down, the prices always go up because there's less competition. Same goes for Grab rides and taxis. I feel that it's no longer worth it. For taxis, I remember that I used to be able to flag down a taxi and just pay whatever the meter shows. But these days, it is almost impossible to flag one down and I have to use the app to pay, and I suspect that it's always higher than if I were to just flag one and pay the meter. For Grab, it's even more not worth it for me. Not only has it become more expensive and there's no more referral code or promo code to use, I find it especially annoying when the app gaslights me all the time. You know how when you want to book a car and the app shows that the nearest car is just 4 minutes away? But when I actually book it, they then match me with a car that's 15 minutes away. And if the car is stuck in traffic and delayed, I just have to wait. But if I'm being held up and I'm late, I'm charged a late fee. So I just find that the dynamics really favors these apps and it's pretty messed up for me as a consumer. My alternative is that these days, if I really need a ride, I will just book GetGo or any car sharing app. The pricing is more transparent and much lower than a Grab ride. And in the last 1 to 2 years, I've noticed that these car sharing apps have really put in a lot of effort to make more cars available everywhere in Singapore. Yes, I still need to physically drive the car to get to where I want, but I still prefer that over being gaslighted by an app. Number 3, bubble tea. So I used to remember that when I was a student, bubble tea was $2, maximum $3 per cup. I used to get it after school every day and it's a nice treat when I'm walking home. But I'm no longer a teenager and my metabolism has officially retired and I can no longer drink a drink for 500 calories. Beyond the health aspect, the price of bubble tea these days can get quite ridiculous and going up to $5 to $6. Sure, it's because they're using more premium ingredients these days like foam cheese, better tea leaves, and more premium pearl toppings. But in my opinion, the menu is just getting more and more complicated and ridiculous. It used to be just milk tea or green tea. Now it's like reading a chemistry textbook. You need to decide on the tea base, the type of milk, the sugar level, the ice level, and the different type of chewy things to add as toppings. So back when I was in tech, I was briefly in product design and we have this saying, and that is, if you can't convince, confuse. It's because in consumer psychology, we often reject the simple first basic option and we assign a higher value to more complex things even though they may not bring us more value. So in this case, I feel that a lot of bubble tea are just giving you a lot of complicated choice to give you an illusion of choice in order to charge you more. My alternative, at that price, I can get a nice cappuccino at Starbucks or any other cafe which offers me a seat, air conditioning, and even Wi-Fi. Number 4, clubbing. So I grew up at a time where going to clubbing is actually very common and very fun. At the risk of reviewing how old I am, the places I used to go are Zouk, Future, the Butter Factory, and Double O and Muhammad Sultan Road, where they were served house pour at $4 each. Yup, you heard me right. There was a time in Singapore, not too long ago, where you can pay $4 for a gin and tonic in a club. These days, it seems like clubbing has gone more high-end. There are many clubs now that only offer bottle service, and I would have to pay at least $200 for a basic bottle of vodka that costs only $20 to $30 at duty-free in Changi Airport. And the club will only give me a standing table for that. If I want to sit down at the actual table, I will have to spend even more. And it's not just me feeling this way. There's a lot of news coverage right now in Singapore saying that the younger people like Gen Zs, they are no longer clubbing or staying out late or even drinking. And these articles, they tend to be quite harsh to the Gen Zs in Singapore, and they criticize them for not having a life, not going out and just staying at home all the time. But I actually get it. Why would anyone spend $200 to go to a place where you can't even hear your friends and then spend another $50 just to take a taxi home, especially in this economy? My alternative? I'd rather take the $200 and spend it on a weekend trip to JB. Think about it, one hotel night in JB is between $50 to $100, and a full day of 3 meals in JB is also going to cost me less than 100 Sing. And if I stretch that $200 and add $100 more to my budget, I can fly to Bali or Bangkok when AirAsia is having a sale. Number 5. Overpriced banking and investment options. Okay, if you have been following my channel, you know that I'm passionate about all things personal finance and being financially free, and how I would always advocate Singapore as the best place for you to grow your career and invest. But it wasn't always like this in Singapore. When I started investing as a student many years ago, I signed up with a popular local brokerage account, and the fees were really high. That means that regardless of how small my investment size is, I still have to pay a minimum of $25. And because back then as a student, the maximum I can invest each time is only $200 to $300, paying a minimum of $25 for each trade is really too much. And separately, I recently accompanied my aunt to her bank and briefly reviewed her investment and retirement portfolio. I saw that because she was paying so much fees on her mutual funds and retirement funds, all the bankers would be so excited to welcome her when she entered the bank and give her free water, free coffee, and those free physical calendars that you would get at the start of the year. I personally think that these fees are not worth it, because at the end of the day, you are buying the same underlying assets regardless of which brokerage or bank you choose to bank with. So my strategy is to find one with the lowest fees and is still licensed by MAS. That's why I've been exploring Longbridge, a MAS licensed entity. The first reason is their low fees, where they offer a lifetime zero commission on Singapore, US, and Hong Kong trades, and 90-day platform fee waivers for new customers. So no more paying minimum fees to traditional brokerage and banks. And in this age of AI, I'm quite impressed to find out about their built-in AI assistant called Longbridge AI, which is designed to help retail investors like myself organize market information, stay ahead of trends, and seize market opportunities. And lastly, they have very attractive welcome rewards, where you can get up to 10% per annum interest boost coupon for 180 days. And this is part of their Fund In Trade promo, where you can receive up to 1,368 Singapore dollars in free NVIDIA shares, option cash coupons, and platform free coupons. I myself have signed up, and all these rewards and the built-in AI have redefined how I see investing and made it easier for me to manage my portfolio while living overseas. Find out more and sign up with Longbridge today in the link below. Number 6. Private gym memberships. So I used to work out at California Fitness, then True Fitness, then Anytime Fitness. And when I moved to tech, everyone around me was splurging for more premium options like Fitness First. But every year, when I have to renew my membership, the prices almost always goes up. Yet the equipment and facilities seldom get refreshed, and it gets more and more packed with more members every year. And the worst thing is that many times, these high-end gyms will eventually just shut down without any warning. There are many instances of gyms still accepting multi-year membership sign-ups and then proceed to just close down and declare bankrupt the very next day, leaving members like you and I high and dry. My alternative is that when I'm back in Singapore and I want to work out, I will just use the very humble and affordable Active SG gym provided by our Singapore government. Okay, I can still remember when I first started using this Active SG gym. It was called Club Fit Gym many years ago. And I remember I was 16 years old and the price of one adult entry to the gym was $2.50. Fast forward 24 years later, and I'm now 40, and the price of one adult entry is still $2.50. This is the only thing I can think of in Singapore that has not participated in inflation. And in fact, sometimes the government do give us those active SG $100 coupons, so it's actually even cheaper or free. Yes, I know it can be quite crowded and it's annoying to wait your turn, and sometimes you have to share the equipment. But I argue that because so many people uses those public gyms, they refresh their equipment and facility far more often than private gyms. So for that price and quality, I really can't complain much. Number 7, Pasar Malam food, Singapore's last surviving reminiscent of street food and night markets. So I'm currently living in Thailand, and the night markets here are really fun, really affordable, and you get a lot of delicious options. But lately, when I went back to Singapore and I visited a Pasar Malam near my MRT station, I was actually quite shocked to see that the prices have really shot up and are sometimes higher than those in the food court. A few examples I saw was a small chicken kebab for $6, a ramly burger for $5, and a Thai milk tea for $4. So if I were to get the burger or the kebab with the iced tea, that will already be $9 to $10. Remember earlier how I mentioned that between $5 to $6, I can get a full meal at McDonald's with a burger, a side, and a drink? And at the Pasar Malam, there's no air conditioning, and McDonald's even offer Wi-Fi and sometimes live sports to watch too. And those were already the cheapest option. I saw more premium options that were actually quite popular on social media, like $13 for mac and cheese, 2 Mexican tacos for $15, and a cheese steak for $20. Now, I know that these food items rely on more premium and often imported ingredients, and I actually sympathize with the vendors for charging so much. That's because I found out through the news that it is actually the Pasar Malam operators that actually charge very high rentals, up to 18,000 Singapore dollars at a popular Pasar Malam location. The good news is that when I was there, I actually saw a lot of young people and families supporting these businesses. So despite the high prices, I guess these people are there to enjoy the last bit of street food and night market culture in Singapore and to support local businesses. My alternative? Because I'm more budget constrained, I ended up just walking 2 minutes down beside the Pasar Malam and I found a prata shop and I had 2 prata and a teh tarik for $4. Number 8, cinema tickets. Okay, this one really baffles me. Firstly, cinema tickets as a whole has really shot up. Last I checked, a single weekend ticket is $16. So a couple would have spent $32 and maybe $10 to $15 more if they're getting popcorns and drinks. But I can still sort of accept it because the cost of operating anything in Singapore is just so much more expensive. And running a cinema, the utilities, the rental, they're all very, very high. The thing that offends me the most is that these cinemas actually have the audacity to charge me $2 for a convenience fee when I buy the tickets from their website. For most businesses, if you do things online, they usually offer you a lower price because it is more convenient for them and they don't need to rent a shop to actually sell you the product. For example, when you buy something from Shopee, as opposed to visiting an actual shop where the merchant has to pay rent and labor to sell you that item. But for whatever reason, cinemas, when I'm saving them the man hours by buying the tickets online, they're still charging me that convenience fee of $2. In some sense, I think it's similar to the 10% that some restaurants still charge us, even though when you go in, you actually sit yourself down, you scan the menu on the table, and you order and pay everything through your phone. And no one actually serves you and pass you a physical menu. And the only service you get is when they bring the food from the kitchen to your table. My alternative, you can already guess it. It will definitely be Netflix, where I just pay a flat fee every month. But actually, I watch more stuff from YouTube, which is where I post most of my content as well, because it's free and I get to support a lot of other local content creators. Number 9, extremely overpriced mooncakes. Okay, mooncakes must be the most overhyped, over-commercialized gifting phenomenon happening here in Singapore. What started out as a humble cake made out of flour, some lotus paste, and maybe some duck cake yolks has now become so high-end, filled with pandan gula melaka, durian lava, and Dubai sea salt chocolate. And the craziest thing to me now is that it is accepted to pay up to $100 for a box of 4 mooncakes. This is pure commercial gifting pressure. And these hotels and restaurants are taking advantage of our society pressure to actually give mooncakes during that time to our family and to our clients. So back when I was working in finance, and whenever the Mid-Autumn Festival is approaching, which is when we actually buy these mooncakes, we will spend thousands of dollars ordering these mooncakes from high-end 5-star hotels and gifting them to our clients. And I'm not sure if my clients even eat those mooncakes because it's quite unhealthy and they could just end up re-gifting and giving it to their own family members. And the saddest part is that the day after the mooncake festival, I will go downstairs to HDB and at the void deck, I will see all these discarded mooncake boxes. They're all designed very nice, and it's such a waste, and ultimately I feel that we're paying $100 for some sugar and some very expensive cardboard. My alternative? These days, during the Mid-Autumn Festival, if I want to spend $100 on a gift, I would just give people cash voucher from NTUC or Sheng Siong. So I used to give my aunts mooncakes and I'll spend $50 to $100 each for them. So when I decided to switch and give them $100 in NTUC or Sheng Siong voucher, they were way more excited and happy. Because for old people, $100 in NTUC or Sheng Siong vouchers can last them an entire week of groceries. Lastly, number 10, Calbee hot and spicy potato chips. Okay, this is very personal to me because I grew up eating this snack. You know, back when you're in school, you save like 70 cents to $1 and then you go to the nearby NTUC or mama shop and you buy these potato chips and then you enjoy eating it while you're walking back home. Sadly, these days, shrinkflation is very real. Shrinkflation is a different type of inflation where the quantity of things that you buy are shrinking and reducing while the price remains the same. So you basically pay the same price for lesser things. This is happening because cost is going up and companies know that consumers like you and I, we react stronger when we see price goes up and we may not notice when the sizes actually shrink. So this is a more subtle way to pass on costs to us. You see it happening everywhere. If you go to NTUC, a box of meat used to be 1 liter flat. But now they're all selling it at 946 ml. A can of Coke used to be 350 ml, now it's 320 ml. Detergent, chocolates, everything in our supermarket is not spared from shrinkflation. Even food from our hawker centers, like the cai fan, the economy rice, or the old chunky curry puffs, they're all shrinking in size. As for my favorite Calbee hot and spicy chips, it now costs $2.40. And when I open it, it's like 70% air. I really feel like I'm buying a pillow of air with just a little bit of chips in it. My alternative these days is to buy the house brands, which are slightly cheaper. So NTUC has their own house brands and the prices are lower. And I also go to Value Dollar to actually compare prices and see what options they have there. The silver lining is that if they keep increasing prices of potato chips, I might just stop eating it altogether and it's more healthy for my health. So there you have it. 10 things I find no longer worth it to buy here in Singapore. If there's anything you have stopped buying because it's not worth it, let me know in the comments below. I love learning from your budget and shopping hacks and tricks, and I'm curious to see if I'm overpaying for anything else as well. And if you like my content and want to support me and kickstart your investment journey, sign up for Longbridge today using my link below. Thank you for watching till the end. Please also subscribe so you can see my other videos. Until next time, thank you and take care.